Hey, this is Professor Ken. Thank you for this session. So I want to talk to you today about why products fail. Now, there's a lot of reasons why products could fail. And I think we have to understand that just because we have a great idea, and we might even have a great product that everyone says this is the best product in the world, there's still a chance of failure. Now, I've been around. I've been in sales and marketing 30 years or so, and I've worked with 4 of the top Fortune 5 companies, and I've been part of product launch teams, and I've launched products through my own company and through some of my clients, and I've had some successes. In fact, I've won some marketing awards, innovative awards and marketing awards, and best product of the year and things like that, which is great. Those are nice successes. But there's also been failures. And I think we need to recognize that products do fail and will fail when you try to get a product out there. In fact, I think the statistics now are 96% of all products fail. And that's everything. And that's from companies big and small, right? Hewlett Packard and the car manufacturers, Apple, Microsoft, Boeing Airlines, things like that. They've made planes that didn't really take to the marketplace, and pharmaceuticals fail, and digital products fail. And so there's all kinds of different failures. And there's a lot of reason why products and companies fail. In fact, just recently, there was a digital company that was headed up by the former CEO of eBay and Hewlett Packard, and one of the top movie industry producers and leaders. And they put together this short video company called Quibi. And the whole idea, the whole concept was to sell short 10-minute videos or produce 10-minute videos in like small storylines. It sounded like a reasonable idea, but they launched, I think, in February of 2020. Of course, the pandemic hit in March of 2020. And the goal there, their strategy was when people are standing in line, when people are on the bus, on the train, when people are stopped at a red light, although you shouldn't do this, they'll stop and look at a quick video, quick Quibi. And the concept is not that bad. I think that makes a lot of sense. So they got it out there, and the content was so-so. It wasn't great content, but it was pretty good content. They had famous actors doing different vignettes and things like that. But they couldn't get to a quick amount of subscriptions. And the pandemic, they say, really hurt them. The timing of it all hurt them because we weren't standing around anywhere, right? We were sitting on our couch streaming Netflix or something like that. Of course, Netflix business have increased. So the business failed. Before the end of the year, it was all over. And I could tell you hundreds of millions, maybe, I don't know the exact number, but hundreds of millions was spent on that type of product to get launched. So that happens quite often. And there's a lot of reasons why a product could fail. Now, there's no guarantee that a product will be successful. That just doesn't exist. And I can tell you, I've been around and I've worked with clients, and I worked with the companies I was with, and they were products that we spent money and time on, that we're in a conference room and we're high-fiving each other saying this is the best product ever, and it just didn't go anywhere, right? And then there's the opposite, where we didn't spend a lot of money on some products, and by surprise, it became an incredible product. We see that all the time as well. So there's really no, it's a hit and miss type thing. Now, that doesn't mean you just go out and decide to put a product out there in the marketplace. That would be foolish. Your odds of success are even lower if you do that. What you need to do is go out and do the proper research. And if it's a technical product, you need to test it. If it's a food product, you need to obviously go through the reiterations of what that food tastes like and things like that. If it's a beauty product, you need to make sure it's targeting the right audience and has the right composition, things of that nature. That requires research. an understanding of who your target market is and who wants that product. Remember, the fundamental goal of a marketer is to find a need and fill it, right? To solve a problem. So when you create a product or service, you want to solve that problem. You want to fill that need. That means you have to do some research. And the research that you do should give you some level of comfort that you're on the right track, okay? So that's one of the reasons why products fail, is because you don't do enough research in the target market or in the way the product operates or actually how you're filling that need, which is important. You have to decide how you're filling that need. That's the basic fundamental part of marketing. So not doing your research and not understanding the reasons why people will buy that product. And you have to have those answers before you can launch a product successfully. Another thing to think about is sometimes a product is before its time, right? Or after its time. You know, we talk about trends and things of that nature. So if you look at sales of hand sanitizer, of course, we all know that we all needed hand sanitizer immediately during the pandemic, and we still buy it today. But everybody jumped into the marketplace, and everyone had different hand sanitizer. In fact, there was some that were not really regulated. So there was improper hand sanitizer out there with the wrong type of alcohol that could be harmful. And even I think maybe one or two people might have died because the effect of the product, or they might have even drank the product, believe it or not. So you could have product failure because your timing is off, right? So now if you try to put out a hand sanitizer now, a year later, you may not be successful because the market has been flooded and we've already gone through that rush. So you may be too late. Now, if you come out with something a little more different, that might be good too. So your timing might be off. That's a reason why a product might fail. Another idea to keep in mind is what we call product positioning. So product positioning is how you place your product in the minds of the consumer. It's not like a physical place, but how does the consumer believe your product fits into the realm of their world? So if you have a high quality product and you sell it at a low price, there's a disconnect there. I mean, no one's going to complain about getting a better product at a lower price. We like that. But if it's not profitable for you, then you have to fix that. And to the opposite, if you charge a lot of money for a product that just doesn't have the quality, there's a disconnect there as well. So the right positioning is important. So sometimes if you position your product wrong, your product will fail. And there's another concept to think in mind when you do your research and you find out there's competition. You know, you could have a high price, high quality product, a low price, low quality product, and then you decide, well, I'm gonna put the product right in the middle. Sometimes that's a good idea, but most times it's not. Why? Because a consumer sees that and the competition sees that. So the higher price can come down, the lower price can get better, and then they squeeze you out of the marketplace. So positioning is important. And then we have to think about the 4 P's of marketing. Remember that marketing mix? Product, place, promotion, and price. So let's talk about that. Those could be reasons why a product fails. Let's start with the product. The fundamental part of getting out any type of product is your product good enough? Does your product deliver on the promise that it makes to the consumer? Sometimes we believe that product does something that we expect it to do. You know, we have this way of saying, okay, the product does this, and the consumer says, no, it doesn't. The product does that. So there's an identity image opportunity there. So we have to make sure that we deliver on our promise every single time with the product, and the product has to be quality. We don't want to buy, consumers are not stupid, right? Now, especially not today. They can do a lot of research. We don't want to buy a crappy product. We want good quality product. Even if we don't spend a lot of money, we still want good quality product. That's really important to understand. And so it starts with the product. Does your product solve a problem? Does your product fill a need? Is your product different? Is there some differentiation there? If not, that could result in failure. Then let's talk about the place. Now, the place is distribution, with the channels that you sell your market in. You may have a great product, but you choose to sell it in retail. But that product really should only be online, right? Or you decide to sell it online, but you could sell it more successfully in retail. Or maybe you do both, and you can't do both because it's just not fit for both. So how you place your product in the marketplace will determine some of your successes too. And there's other factors that tie into that, like channel conflicts and pricing and things of that nature. So that could be a reason why a product fails, because you don't have the right distribution channel. You don't have the right place for that product. Now, another reason why your product will fail is because you don't do any promotions, right? You don't do any marketing. Now, that's a shame, because that's what we do. We do marketing. So if you think that you're going to develop a product, and just because you make this incredible product, everyone's going to buy it, you're sadly mistaken, because no one's waiting around for you to come up with a product and say, hey, guess what? I have this great product. No, that's not the way it works. I used to tell my clients all the time that come to me with products they wanted to launch in the US. They might be successful in Argentina or Brazil or Mexico, and they say this will be a great product in the US. And I look at it, I evaluate it, I go through it, and I may agree or disagree or may need to change some things. And they're all excited, and they should be, because it's exciting to try to get into a new market, especially the US market, with a new product. But then I tell them, I said, listen, your product is good. It's great in your market, and I think you're doing wonderful. You may need to make some changes. If you're not changing it, you might see something that you're not happy with. But keep in mind, no one is waiting for your product. So just because it's great in one market doesn't mean it's going to be good in another market, right? So you have to adapt to that marketplace. So you have to change it a little bit, and you have to promote it. Putting a product on the store shelf or putting an e-commerce store up, not that complicated. I mean, you could build an e-commerce store. My company builds e-commerce stores now for $1,000, right? Compared to $100,000 15 years ago. So it's not that complicated. You could build it yourself. You don't need someone to help you build it. But just because you put an e-commerce store up doesn't mean the product you're selling is going to succeed, because you have to do some marketing. People need to know that you exist. And that's where promotion comes in. So another reason why a product could fail is because you don't market the product properly. You don't do your promotion. The last P, the most important P, is price. If it's the wrong price, your product will fail. If it's too expensive, if it's too cheap, your product will fail, right? If it's against the competition, your product will fail. So when you think about it, there's 3 C's to think about in price. One is your cost. You have to understand the cost of your product. So if you cannot make a profit at a certain price range that positions your product properly in the marketplace, the price is not aligned to the product quality, you'll fail. The other C to think about with price is your competition. If your price is too high and your competition is lower, if you don't differentiate yourself and prove that you're worth more money, you'll fail. And then the other C is customers, right? It doesn't matter what price you decide to put the product out. If the customer doesn't think that that price is worth your product, there's no value there for them, they won't buy it, your product will fail. So there's a lot of reasons why your product could fail, and if you Google why products fail, you'll see a ton of reasons out there. The majority of them focus around the 4 Ps, and then others focus around leadership and management, right? Because they could be wrong as well. And I think the most important thing there is to keep in mind is that poor leadership, poor management is not going to get you successful product launches. Now, if the product is good and better than most, then you could, some of those things can be passed on. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. So that's some of the reasons why a product could fail. Just remember, I always say that you really need to get out there and explore and try something. Now, you shouldn't go out and spend every penny or put a big budget against a new product launch unless you really believe in it. If you're a small business owner or entrepreneur or inventor, you have to be careful there. That's why we have great shows like the Shark Tank and the Profit and Billionaire and all that stuff, where they help entrepreneurs and inventors get the product out there. There's still a risk, but they have some money behind it, and that money can be gambled against. If it's your own money, you have to be careful there. But no risk, no reward. You don't know until you give it a try. So that's really the idea. Just keep in mind, if you're part of the 4% that do succeed, your life will be changed, and you only got to get it right one time. So there are some benefits to launching a product, but just understand the risk of product failure.